Amplified unit! Top of the morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world, salute! It is indeed time to wake up, and get amplified! Thursday, May 25th, 2023. Welcome to the Amped Up Podcast. I'll be your host, of course, BC Amplified. And we have indeed a packed, stacked, jacked show for you this morning / afternoon. And be forewarned, a little birdie is chirping saying there could be a second dose of amplification later this afternoon / evening. So be on the lookout. This could be a double dose of amplification today, a second Amped Up podcast later in the afternoon / evening. You should already be subbed and notified anyway. You should already have clicked the bell, wherever that damn bell is. It's always moving, I think. Wherever that bell is on this page, find it, smash that. And whether I go live or put up a regular pre-recorded amplified podcast, you guys will be the first to know about it. Smash the bell notification. First and foremost, smash the up. Help out the algorithm. Give that son of a boop. Fucking Jake the Snake Roberts DDT. Put that like button down on its back looking up at the lights. But smash that, help out that algorithm. All right, so that's a little bit of a programming alert / warning. This could be a double dose of amplification. Check out the channel later this afternoon. Some big stories I want to cover. I'm kind of sitting on one right now, and hopefully I'll have more details for the next podcast. But for this podcast, this Amped Up Podcast with BC Amplified, this is packed, stacked, and jacked. And we want to bring the conversation to the forefront. I know this is a topic that gets you nauseous, right? Every time we talk Phillip, CM Punk Brooks, you get this exhausted. That's the word I'll use. We get exhausted talking about this dude because the truth is we're exasperated before the conversation even begins. The announcement last night, it shuts the door on a big chapter of all of this drama. We can finally put all the speculation to bed, to rest. That wraps up that part of the drama. But what happens next and going forward is a whole new chapter, even a whole new book, you could say, of problems for TK. We're going to discuss exactly what I am talking about and why this morning waking up, Tony Khan is now the employee of CM Punk Phillip Brooks, because make no mistake about it, what has happened is a reverse in power. There has been a shift, a seismic shift, where Brooks got to sit home, rehab an injury during all of this, get paid more money than anybody in AEW is being paid, because he was. And he gets to come back, have his own show, work with who he wants to work with. And this deal got finalized because he had his people get rehired. Everything that he had demand-wise had to be met. He basically held AEW hostage. Old school Ultimate Warrior, who's one of my favorites in the business, by the way. But I'll be the first to say he did not conduct business the right way. So I understand if you are a CM Punk fan and you're excited to see him back, but I hope you understand this does not help the locker room at all. The drama, the frustration, all of the problems, if you think they've been rectified because everybody shook hands and we're going to start anew, they haven't been rectified. In fact, they've just been magnified. BC will discuss exactly what I'm talking about in this very podcast. And we're also going to discuss supposed WWE roster cuts coming imminently. Are they really, though? WWE CEO says not so fast. That and a lot more. Grab your beverage, smash that shit down, come right on back. Let's get amplified! My unit, Thursday, May 25th, 2023. Amped Up with BC, Part 1. Again, this is most likely going to be a 2-part Amped Up podcast today. Join the channel later this evening for the second podcast. And we'll get to the CM Punk drama, and it looks like it's official. He's finally coming back so we can just get this over with, right? Have the run. The drama will ignite at some point. Bridges will be burned. He'll go away. We'll all say we've had enough, and then we'll do this probably again in 2 years when everybody's older, more bitter, more problems, more turmoil in the locker room. Who knows? Maybe this time it'll destroy AEW and people will finally get the point. How many times does somebody have to show you who they are before you finally believe them? We'll talk about all of the AEW Phil Brooks drama finally coming to some of it coming to an end and a whole new fucking book starting. Will it ever end with CM Punk? I have no fucking idea. We'll talk about it. We're also going to discuss roster cuts, supposedly. Who is saying this? Is it reputable, or is it somebody like WrestleVotes who's just stating the obvious because of the flywheel from Endeavor? If you guys know what I'm talking about. If you don't, BC's going to talk about it. But we'll talk about how real these roster cuts are, supposedly, in WWE. And I want to start with a little bit of fun, man, right? Why so serious? Let's have a little bit of fun. You ready for this? Nick Khan provided us with a good laugh recently. Nick Khan was quoted as saying this. This is great. Get ready, man. And I quote, "We think our product has over-delivered on the USA Network." He's talking about Raw. The WWE CEO, Nick Khan, says, and when talking about Raw, "We think our product has over-delivered on USA Network." First of all, sound familiar? He's thinking that the deal with Peacock for the streaming of WWE Network and all their premium live events, he feels that deal has been undervalued. So basically, he's having seller's remorse that they made that deal. They're happy with it for the money they got, but they think they should have gotten more because they feel the product is hotter than ever before. But it's not. The record revenue is because these idiots are giving you all that money. I mean, I gotta believe that they know this, or maybe they are telling themselves this lie so many times they're starting to believe it, that this product is so hot. But no, it is not. How can you honestly say we think our product has over-delivered on the USA Network when every single year they are losing viewers by the droves? Just recently, this week, they pulled a 1.63. That's not because of a basketball game. You're nowhere near even 2.0 with no football competition. Last week, there was no NBA even. No basketball. No football, and you pulled a 1.7. What the fuck? You keep dropping. This is more than cord cutting. This is more than holidays, presidential speeches, games. I say this like a broken record in every podcast, and I'm going to have to every podcast going forward, because at this point, it's not even telling my audience or trying to, because I know some people can't catch every video, so I have to repeat myself like a broken record. At this point, I'm saying it every podcast, hoping that somebody in these walls of Stamford, Connecticut, people in that company will finally realize, stop believing your own lies. This product is not hotter than ever. It's more dry than ever. It is more horrendous than ever. It is actually bad. This product sucks. Monday Night Raw, forget sleep-inducing. I had to literally change the channel this week. I've never done that. During the main event, I was getting a nauseous feeling watching how bad this product is. And you, the CEO, is going to say, we think our product has over-delivered on USA. In other words, he's positioning himself for a better deal, just like he is with Fox for SmackDown And just like he is with the streaming service in Peacock, he's already strategically placing WWE in a spot where they're going to come to the negotiating table and try to get a substantial rights fees increase when the product is going backwards. Continuing the process of what BC always tells you, liquidating the company and just making all of their record revenue from these big conglomerates and saying fuck you to the fans. They don't care about us. We're not the ones that they care about. We're not giving them we're not contributing to this business at all. We're not. That's why I always say when you go to WWEshop.com, there's always these deals. Buy a shirt, we'll give you another one for free. Or for $1 so you can cover the shipping, right? When you show up to the arenas for your $50, $100 ticket, whatever, they don't give a shit about that. They're going to pipe in the fake crowd noise anyway, fake boos, chirped in cheers. They don't care. Their record revenue is from Saudi Arabia's multi-fucking $100 million deal, the $1 billion from Fox, the $1 billion from Peacock, the nearly $1 billion from USA Network. That's where their record revenue is. They don't care about us. So they're truly going to try to manipulate not just us anymore, right? That's why I feel they love the Thunderdome. They could manipulate every part of the production. They could fake people or put the video of people that they want where they want. They could chirp in the cheers, pipe in the boos. Everything about the Thunderdome was manufactured, right? It was manipulated. Well, they're trying to do that with the market. They're trying to do that with Fox, USA, NBC Universal, Peacock, all of it. They're trying to manipulate the market. I'm really hoping somebody has enough common sense and logic to do their due diligence and research and realize that this company is going backwards. Fans are leaving in droves, and it's not cord cutting or playoffs. A 1.6 going into your premium live event pay-per-view. A go-home show, 1.6. A month after Mania, you're pulling a 1.6. Your casual fans, your lapsed fans that come back from Mania, you're fucking around a 2.4, 2.5, and now you're at a 1.6 a month later. Where the fuck did 900,000 people go? Nearly 1 million people no longer need to tune in. And you know what the ratings tell us through the upfront quarterlies? That those that did watch the basketball game, LeBron and the Lakers facing elimination, they didn't even tune back to Raw for the commercials. That's what the quarterlies tell us. The product sucks so... I can say, okay, maybe the game... Maybe you're just a diehard Laker fan, right? They didn't even tune in during the commercials, bro. That's the bare minimum, right? You're putting together such a good show that you at least got to check in during the commercials. During halftime, at least check in. Nothing. The quarterly show us that nobody even cared. There was no FOMO, no fear of missing out of Monday Night Raw. And Nick Khan is honestly going to say, we think our product has over-delivered on USA. Over-delivered? You're soon to be under 1.5. You can't even, man. You can't even. I understand. BC, man, what do you expect him to say? He's like a used car salesman. He's going to say whatever is needed to be said to try to manipulate and pull one over on these poor executives that know nothing about the business. They think they do. They put right people in order to do their due diligence. They come to the negotiating table, and Vince McMahon and Nicholas Khan and whoever else is in that meeting, they absolutely manipulate the shit out of them. Pull one right over on them. Bro. If that's enough to get deals done that WWE sees such substantial revenue increases in their new deals, then you know what? Shame on the people they're doing business with, because they should know better. And they are getting exactly what they deserve. If you ain't going to do your fucking homework, then you know what? Give WWE all your money. That's exactly how I see it. Because it ain't WWE to blame for that. Because this happens time after time after time. And these people still shell out all that money to World Wrestling Entertainment. Real quick, before we start, I want to stick with Nick Khan. because this involves him, because there's a report going on about roster cuts, supposedly. Well, this is news to BC. I mean, of course, that's always on the table. It's one of those stories that you could easily say, and you can't really be totally wrong, because you could easily say it's always on the table, right? That's why you always got to look at who the source is. I'm going to get to that in a second. I want to give a huge shout out to JR9 Gaming, my right-hand man on the channel. I'm always giving him a shout out anyway, but a special shout out. A couple coffees I saw in the super thanks is JR9 Gaming lit up in a blue highlight. I'm like, wait, who the fuck is this? A coffee being thrown? That's my right-hand man, JR9 Gaming. I appreciate that, dude. Obviously, that's never needed. So that was just literally just throwing a coffee at BC saying what's up. So JR9, I appreciate you so much, man. Especially if I do that NXT live stream on Sunday night. Man, if we're able to do that and the stream holds up weather-wise and all that, JR9, I'm going to need you to help me out on that one, most likely, with a lot of information. JR9 says, with these super thankses down below, in that last Amped Up podcast, the center of the universe, Tiffany Stratton, is phenomenal. She honestly has the best moonsault I've ever seen, and it's her time on Sunday. Also, a few more things. Blair Davenport is most likely the mystery attacker of Roxy recently. I did not know that, nor did I hear anything about that. So thank you for that info. That's interesting. Dragunov and Dijak has been done beautifully and will steal the show at Battleground. Bro, what they did, I couldn't believe that Superman punch that Dragunov did to an already knocked out Dijak. That was sick. that was insane, bro. And even their locker room brawl, I absolutely thought that was phenomenal. Nathan Frazier was trained by Sethington, which you can really see how flawless he is. I could not believe that springboard. You probably have a name for that, JR9 Gaming. But he basically did the springboard, flipped right into a reverse DDT. And he just landed beautifully. No hesitation. Lands, drops him, gets up like it's business as usual. Going into the match, I had to roll my eyes a little bit. I'm like, what the fuck? Nathan Frazier, Noam Dar? What are we doing? By the end of the match, I was like, you could have gave him 12 more minutes at least. Tony D is brilliant. One of my favorite acts since 2.0 started. I loved everything with him, and that hype package at the end was so good. Tony, I just like the camera angle, everything. Security footage. Tony D was, I said it in yesterday's review. I said Tony Soprano would have been proud of that performance. And he's the ultimate. Tony Soprano's the guy when you're doing that over-the-top Italian mafioso. Tony Soprano is the peak. Tony D would have made him proud. And I thought the hype package at the end was absolutely brilliant. That got me actually hyped up to do the live stream Sunday. Finally, thank you for this review, BC. It was brilliant. JR9, thank you, brother. It's because of people like you, and you were the front runner to even have me consider a live stream on Sunday night for Battleground, which is going head-to-head with AEW Double or Nothing. So that's a big decision to make. So I really wanted to watch Tuesday. You guys always say that NXT is really good, so much better than Raw, but Raw was so bad. I was just really down on pro wrestling in general. So I had my notepad and a pen, and I sat down at 8 p.m. on Tuesday night, and I didn't have any expectations. I was just hoping for something better than Raw. And what I got was something that was 93% better than Raw. So that's telling you something, man. I had 2 pages of notes for NXT on a 2-hour show, and I had 1 page for a 3-hour Raw. That tells you about things that are happening that are exciting, intriguing, that need to be talked about. That tells you how NXT is running laps around Monday Night Raw. And you're right, JR9, when you say, like, it sucks that not enough people are giving it a chance, because NXT is literally one of the best shows on TV right now, pro wrestling-wise. And JR9 also says JC and Gigi's segment was so good. Both hit a grand slam with their promo. Best segment of last night. A weaponized cage match is a fantastic way to end their story. Next week could be the women's money match of the year candidate if done correctly. I'm that confident in both my gals, JC and Gigi. Oh, and both my gal JC and in Gigi can't wait for it. I'm saying the same thing, Jared. I completely agree, and I believe I said that in yesterday's review also. I said, if done properly, this could be the match everybody is talking about, or at least like top 5 for matches that you had to see. JC, Gigi, before a lot of their previous interactions, a lot of fans were not saying the best things about it. But a weaponized cage match, this could be exactly what they need. And this could take people that said, I don't know about them together in the ring, to saying, wow, you have to see this match, this fight. I could put that easily in the league of like Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa. Their lights out matches, those type of matches where, okay, it's not going to be pound for pound the most skilled wrestling match, but it's still a match you have to see. It's a match that did something for women's wrestling. Women's fighting, taking the women seriously, turning your heads when you want to turn a blind eye to women's wrestling, but you heard so much about this match, this fight, that you have to check it out. That's when they said weaponized cage match. I was just thinking, man, if you go all out, no pun intended to AEW, but if you go all out in this match and you do the deed and you let them get as physical as they need to get, even if it means sporting a crimson mask, then that's what it calls for. That's what needs to be done. But this is too special on paper. This is too special, and it is a great way to end this thing with these two. And their promo, man, that had me edge of my seat. I was loving it. The way Gigi was delivering her lines and JC being the ultimate, if you will, bitch, which is great. Loved everything about it, man. Anyway, JR9 Gaming, I had to give you a big shout out, man. I appreciate those coffee. Never needed, obviously. So good to hear your perspective on that shit always, especially when it comes to NXT. I want to stick with Nick Khan, the WWE CEO, because a recent report, and I do believe this is from WrestleVotes, who basically gets every single one of their reports wrong because they're just lying. They're just bullshitting. And recently they said a big round of WWE roster cuts is coming soon. Now, first of all, that was stating the obvious. We were all saying that because Endeavor has confirmed that they're going to follow the same format of the flywheel that they used when they purchased UFC, which is a big round of cuts. Now, most of that was like employees within UFC. And but that got every one of us going, okay, well, when they just got their name, what is it? Fucking THQ or something? Or TKO is going to be the umbrella that they're named under, the company that they're going to exchange. Stock-wise, I think it's TKO is going to be their company name. UFC with WWE under Endeavor, TKO. But we all said when they get their name and they get their ball bearings and they collect they put their ducks in a row, probably around July, August, maybe even June, don't be shocked if you start to see roster cuts in WWE, right? I mean, that was obvious when Endeavor confirmed that the flywheel rule was in effect and they were going to make mass cuts. So we already knew, like, if there's going to be, we already knew the time frame and all of that. Nick Khan, the CEO, then came up and said, no, there's not going to be there's no relevance to what you're hearing. There's not going to be cuts to the talent. There's most likely going to be cuts employee-wise because that's what you do when you do this type of deal. You merge, you get bought out. You have to take stock of your inventory. That's not just in things. That's also in people. You have to take stock of what you have and make the necessary cuts to pull the greatest revenue possible. So that happens in any business. Nick Khan has confirmed that it's going to be employees that get cut. Unfortunately, you never want to see people lose their job, but that is business, guys. But he said we're not looking to cut the roster at all, and there's no truth to what people are yapping about. So now this new report comes out of nowhere, and it just says that around July, maybe Money in the Bank-ish, big roster cuts are coming. what are we doing? I'm hearing nothing reputable. Nobody is claiming that. Nobody knows that. You're literally just coming out with something that could be 50% true and easily 50% not. It's a 50-50 thing, right? And when it's all said and done, when August is said and done, you're either going to be 100% correct because you played the 50-50 game, or you're going to be 100% wrong because you played the 50-50 game. So, I mean, this is another one of those WrestleVote type of reportings. I think it maybe was from them. It's one of those reports where if I'm right, yeah, I called it. And if I'm wrong, well, I mean, we were all kind of talking about it. No, come on, man. You can't, at the end of May, start talking about something that's supposedly happening a month or two down the road that there's no reputable reporting from. You know that the flywheel is in effect. You know that there's going to be a lot of cuts. We already knew that. And it was around that time frame. So you're literally you're making shit up now. You're saying there's a good possibility that a chunk of the roster does get cut. Maybe it's just a lot of NXT guys that weren't really being used. And we're just going to make the story up now. I think we have a good chance of being right down the road, right? That's what you're basically making this shit up. That's what you're saying. When it's all BS up front, you're literally pulling shit out of your ass. So what I'm saying, guys, could there be roster cuts in July or August? Of course. The flywheel has been in effect. Or at least it has already been confirmed that it'll be utilized come June or July. But coming out in May and saying, expect a big round of roster cuts. Or maybe I think they said a little round of roster cuts. They're trying to protect their ass even more, right? In case it is just about 10 to 12 fucking NXT talents. This is a bullshit report. It's a bullshit lie. That's all it is. Even if 47 people get cut in July, this will still be a BS report because it's a lie, not a report. And I really do want to know if this is fucking WrestleVotes, actually. Hold on. You know what? I'm going to halt the podcast while we're filming. I'm not even going to edit this. We're going to stay live-ish until I find this out. Ready? Hold on. Now, Fightful has apparently has updated this initial report that somebody else put out, probably WrestleVotes. Fightful reports that around the time of WrestleMania, Nick Khan told people in the sports agenting world that the promotion wasn't planning on any roster releases. Well, yeah, Fightful, Sean Ross Sapp, he told us that. He said that in interviews. He's not planning on cutting any talents. So thank you for at least reiterating that. In mid-April, Khan told Lightshed Partners that Endeavor was seeking to significantly reduce WWE's costs. Of course, that's called the fly rule, or the flywheel effect, that they did in UFC. But that's not talent. And I quote, if you look at what Endeavor was able to take out cost-wise, this is what Nick Khan says, and I quote, if you look at what Endeavor was able to take out cost-wise from UFC in 2016 or shortly after that deal was done, we have the same expectations here. We think $50 million is a really conservative number. We have integration teams now. We're going to get those in shape. I think we'll have a better sense of it in a month or two. We're going to be pretty aggressive with them to make sure that for our shareholders and for our company, our organization is as lean and mean as possible. And we're going to rely on Endeavor and the flywheel to make up the rest. Yeah, BC already covered that same paragraph and more. We've already had this discussion in the past. So it looks like Fightful is just kind of correcting this false report and saying that Nick Khan, the CEO, has already said that's not happening. So again, I really have to find out who's making this bullshit up. It is indeed, I can confirm, WrestleVotes is reporting that cuts will be coming to WWE ahead of Money in the Bank. And I quote from the votes, I don't know names at all. What the fuck is this guy? You don't have to tell it. You're making up a lie anyway. This dude honestly is believing that he's in the walls of Stamford, Connecticut. And people are buying into this shit. Even if cuts were coming in July, they don't have a list in fucking May. I don't know names at all. I don't know names yet. Keep right here at the votes. I'll be getting them in. I don't have names at all, but I know a source who speaks like that. I know a source that has said to expect a minor batch of releases prior to July 1st. I think that's just business. This is how you know he's totally lying. He goes from a source has told me to expect a minor batch of releases, and then he goes into his own narrative, right? His own way of thinking. He follows it up with going, I think that's just business. The source didn't tell you this is business? You don't know that cuts happen when you merge or get bought out? You don't know that that's business? He goes on to say, or this fucking schmuck goes on to say, this Mr. Russell votes. Hopefully I'm wrong on that one. What? What? You just said the source told you that. Hopefully the source is wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong on that one. Oh, you just, see, reputable sources, reputable reports, reputable reporters don't speak like that. They catch themselves in their own bullshit and they don't even realize it. Or they don't catch themselves. They spew the bullshit to the point where they expose themselves and they don't even realize it. He says, hopefully I'm wrong on that one. But I would expect prior to the second half of this year, a few cuts just because of the circumstances that the company finds themselves in right now. So he goes into his own thoughts and he expects, based on what just happened with a merger and a buyout, he expects there to be budget cuts, most likely. But I thought the source just told you this. What? We all knew that around June and July is when all of the cuts were going to happen with employees. Some individuals on that roster, most likely some NXT ones, unfortunately, they might get the axe. But come on. Are you telling me there are still people in the wrestling community that believe in the crock of shit that is WrestleVotes? Stop, guys. You can't be that gullible. This is literally someone just coming out with shit out of their ass. And it's always the shit that could be right. Most likely is going to be wrong, but I could be right. And if I am wrong, it's so 50-50 that people will not hold me accountable for it. I can't stand fuckers like this in the community. It's shit like that that's not needed. Pathetic. Anyway, guys, I wanted to clear up. Yeah, we all knew that around June, July, maybe even August, there's going to be a lot of cuts you're going to hear in the company. But anything that happens, nothing is known right now. Nothing. Nothing at the end of May, going into Saudi Arabia, where they're actually bringing in a lot of talent that's not even on the card for Night of Champions. Now is not the time that WWE is going through a list and thinking about who's being cut. I assure you of this. I promise you this. I actually have people in the know, real reputable sources. They've heard nothing about what is happening June, July, and August with cuts. Stop. What is this? MJF still causing a stir. Before I get it, this is a good transition over to the CM Punk AEW drama. MJF adding fuel to the fire of leaving AEW and going to WWE. Apparently, MJF... All right, I wanted to get the actual quote here because this was something I wanted to originally discuss. Almost forgot about it. Glad I just came across it again. This is coming out of Dynamite last night, a little bit of a hot topic of discussion, and I quote from MJF. To be honest, I'm kind of bored around here. I'm kind of sick of this place, and I'm kind of sick of the lack of competition. I am sick of the lack of competency, and most of all, I am sick of the AEW fans not showing me the respect that I so greatly deserve. He says, much like the rest of this roster, none of them are on the level of the devil. And then he took the social and he kept on hinting towards a WWE debut come 2024, which is rapidly approaching, obviously. So if you guys are wondering, this is just MJF being MJF. But what you have to know is MJF being MJF is a big part of his shtick is realism. Every single promo he cuts, there is a shit ton of real in his words. So believe a lot of it, guys, is what I'm saying. When he was talking about in that little war with Tony Khan a while back, that was real. CM Punk was getting all the money. Way more than anybody in AEW, way more than MJF at that time especially. But if you looked at the ratings, this is why ratings matter. This is why BC loves the numbers. MJF was actually beating CM Punk in the ratings many weeks. MJF was the biggest rating draw for a while. And then they finally listened to BC. They put CM Punk in the Q1 segments, and then CM Punk started to defeat MJF. And at first it was just marginally too, by the way. And when it started to become a little bigger, it's when MJF was off of TV several weeks. So my point is, MJF started to see this, or maybe was hearing BC's words and said, wait a second, this amplified dude is correct. I'm doing all this work. I'm pulling in the best ratings. I'm getting the best reactions. Punk is coming out, rarely here, not getting the reactions that we thought he was going to be getting, not pulling the numbers or moving the needle like we thought he was going to do, and he's getting all that money, so he wanted to restructure the contract a little bit, get what he felt he was worth. Tony Khan didn't want to do that because he's paying all his money to CM Punk, and that was a real beef, guys. That was real. You know, the WWE thing is just to fuck around and be that ultimate guy you want to boo because you're tribalistic to AEW and you have this guy who keeps on bringing up WWE and not wanting to be in AEW. Of course you're going to want to boo him. You're going to want to hate him. But there's a lot of realism that this dude easily could get upset to the point where he wants to get the fuck out. See if the grass is greener on the other side. So, of course, this is just MJF being MJF and just fucking with people. But don't get it twisted. There is a lot of realism in those words, man. And if you think he's not going to sniff the waters of WWE and sniff the waters of those lakes of Stamford, Connecticut, he's going to. And he's got people in that company. Brewster Pritchard, somebody he's got that he's tight with in that company. That's a higher up. So, of course, Cody and him always been tight. I mean, he could easily make that. I mean, just don't. There's some people that just think, oh, of course he's be stupid to go anywhere else. Not quite. His stock has diminished as of late. The last several months, even with the title, I just don't know if they have the direction for him. And I don't know if a four-way or playing around with Jungle Boy or an Orange Cassidy or a Darby Allin or a Sammy Guevara. I don't know if that's really going to elevate MJF any more than he was. Just raising the questions. You know, Just Incredible just took a lot of heat for saying that he thinks that AEW's Daniel Bryan Danielson has been booked atrociously since his AEW debut. I have to agree with the Just Incredible. I really do. You have Bryan Danielson in your company, and what has he really done? Did he give you some bangers? Okay, did he give you some 4 or 5, maybe 6-star matches? I don't know what Melty Boy, where he's flying his little imaginary star system. I don't know how many stars he's collected. He's had some good matches. Okay, he's lost all the big ones. We've already discussed this last week in one of my big podcasts. I went over his last, 25 to 50 matches, whatever he's had in AEW. All of the big matches, pay-per-views, all of those, loses them. Lost them all. Never got the championship, played around in BCC for the longest time recently, still is involved. He just seems as second tier as could imaginably be. And when you find out that you just landed Daniel Bryan, you have Bryan Danielson in your company, I expected a lot more than just good wrestling matches. But I don't know. Just Incredible's taking a lot of heat for saying that he's been booked badly. Guys, I'll take it a step further. I don't care about the heat. I'll take it a step further. He's been booked absolutely miserably. And a lot of that is probably his own doing. I don't think Bryan Danielson is losing a lot of these big matches unless it's his approval, his okaying, maybe his idea to lose the matches. In which case, I would blame Bryan Danielson for the same thing I'll blame Tony Khan for. Bad booking for himself. And this is why I have a reservation for having Bryan Danielson on the creative team. He made some questionable decisions when he was not running, but a part of creative for SmackDown, and we found out some of his segments, and they were really bad. We all felt that, and we all blamed Vince McMahon, but it was actually Bryan Danielson. But we gave him a pass, like we do with Paul Levesque these days, and we just blame everything on Vincent Kennedy McMahon. I don't think Bryan Danielson is the most creative guy. I don't. So I do hope he has a lot of help when running Collision. Speaking of Collision, let's get to that right now, man. Let me get a big swig of my coffee. And BC wants to talk Collision. It is official Saturday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time to 10 p.m. 2 hours. Another show for AEW television. Is it needed? Opposite. I feel this is going to hurt them big time, man. Rampage cannot even pull anything over 300,000 in recent weeks. 4 straight weeks in the 200s, I believe. I know BC, they had their time slot moved around. NBA playoffs were smacking them around like a fucking bitch. I get it, man. But you can't pull 200 some odd thousand. I don't care what time slot you're on. You're literally just competing with Law and Order reruns, Blue Bloods reruns. Big Bang Theory is quadrupling your rating, and you're the second show for AEW. Your first show, your flagship, is pulling in 700,000 plus viewers. That's it. 700,000 to 800,000 tops is your new normal. Half of what you started with when you were pulling 1.4 in your debut episode a little less than 5 years ago. From a 1.4 to a 700,000, you literally got your viewership cut in half. Your viewers are turning away in droves, and you're going to have another big 2-hour primetime show Saturday nights? I don't know how this is supposed to help. At first, because of Phillip Brooks, maybe there'll be that buzz. You'll pop maybe a million, maybe a 1.2, dare I say? And then what? As the weeks go by and the creative is as lackluster as it's ever been and the buzz around Phil Brooks is once again non-existent, what happens after a full month of Collision and you dip back to what? 700,000-800,000 tops? Or are you going to dip to 500,000-600,000? Is NXT going to be smacking you around? When your owner is this multi-billionaire, thanks to his papa, but no shade, good for him. With all the resources, primetime television through Turner Networks and Warner Discovery, and NXT is beating you? Are you going to be just better than Rampage? Is that what all of this is about? Are you going to be equal to what Rampage was pulling? I don't see how over time Collision is going to bring in more viewers when Dynamite cannot even do that. Dynamite, the flagship show, is losing viewers by the week. Now, in my second podcast later this evening, I hope to have the AEW rating for you. Maybe that will be out of the 700,000s. Maybe they will get into the 800s. Dare I say 900,000? Because of the huge announcement, supposedly, that Tony Khan had. It wasn't that huge. It was something that we thought was going to be announced long ago. And that's where the first Collision is going to take place. That was the big announcement. We just didn't know if he was also going to simultaneously announce CM Punk as well. We didn't know. So maybe his announcements usually they pop a rating. I don't think it's going to be enough to pull 1 million viewers. Or maybe you didn't have any basketball competition at all. You had this big Tony Khan announcement. It's the go-home show to Double or Nothing. I mean, is it out of the realm that they would pop 1 million viewers? No. I just don't think the show was good enough to pop 1 million, even with all I just aforementioned. 900 some odd would be the top, I would say, and I wouldn't be surprised if they just rest in the 800,000s, even with the big announcement, the go-home show, no basketball competition. I get it. The show is really trying to find itself still after 5 years. It still doesn't have an identity. And here comes Collision. But That was the big announcement last night. It's going to be in Chicago, Illinois, the very first ever Collision, live, Chicago. We already knew that, though. It was already leaked out. The only reason they couldn't officially announce it is because real-life drama with Phil Brooks and Tony Khan, AEW and CM Punk. That was real. That was not storyline. Punk literally wanted Ace Steel to be rehired in a certain position/way, or else he was not going to show back up. And he had a list of demands. He wants to face Samoa Joe, who happens to be one of his good buddies. He wants to work with the people that want to work with him only. So they're going to split up the fucking rosters, and they're going to have only people that will work with Phil Brooks over on Saturday. Ace Steel, for some reason, is going to be rehired because that's what Brooks demanded. And until I get those demands met, I'm not showing up. That's why Warner Discovery had to make a statement publicly that they are trying to resolve the situation. And as of press time, Punk has nothing to do with the show. And then we heard 24 hours later that they wish they did not make that statement because they were trying to resolve the issue. They did feel confident that they could get CM Punk back in time for the first episode, in which case saying that CM Punk has nothing to do with the show, now you just look like you're a complete crock of shit. And you say, well, they're trying to help the story and make it a surprise, BC. No, then you just wouldn't mention it. You don't say CM Punk has nothing to do with the show because now you're fucking with your own stock, your shareholders, right? You're fucking around with a lot more entities that are not going to be happy that you just lied to them. You can't do that when you're Warner Discovery. You can do that when you're AEW because you're doing it for storyline purposes. Punk has nothing to do with this show. You can't do that when you're Warner. So that's why Warner made another statement saying, we wish we had not said that. We are trying to rectify the situation. And we were pretty confident that they were going to. You know how that was? Just giving Punk whatever he wanted. At that point, when somebody is holding you hostage to that degree and has that many demands, you're kind of held between a rock and a hard spot. You know that you have this first show. Jacksonville's Daily Place was never really a viable option. You already announced that you're going to Canada for the second week. You're going to this town the third. You've already announced all the other dates. The first one has to be huge. Chicago was already tipped off that they're going to be hosting it. Chicago hosts, it seems, every other event for AEW. That seems to be their home. Like New York is the WWE, Chicago is the AEW. So you kind of already knew that you had to show up in Chicago, and you can't show up to Chicago at that point without CM Punk at that point, right? You backed yourself into a corner because you did not attach your balls and utilize them and tell Brooks no, or else you could stay home. No, Tony Khan never became that authority figure. It's like that kid that gets away with everything and the parent does not parent. Instead, they become a best friend of their child and let them run amok. Or you get a dog and you don't train them properly and they begin to own you. You're basically the pet. They are running around the house like they own the place. Well, that's what happened with TK. Tony Khan let Punk get away with everything. Never really put his foot down. Never trained Punk properly. Never became the figure that had to lay down some law and order. Never laid down the obedience when it needed to be laid down. And now what happened is Brooks saw that he can manipulate the fuck out of Tony Khan and get exactly what he wants because he waited to the last minute, right before he's about to show up in just a few weeks for Collision. And he said, I'm not coming back unless Ace Steel comes back. And what's the latest report we got, guys? Latest report, Ace Steel is rehired by AEW. He is back, working from home. Right? We heard this report several days ago, and then AEW pretty much tried to negate it, right? That's not true. But now we're hearing the same report. Yes, it is. He was rehired. He's working from home. And then in one of the reports, Punk wanted him to show up to TV with him. Because, of course, you created so much drama. You want just your boys with you at TV. When you show up for Collision, you want Ace Steel. You want the Samoa Joes. You want to put together your posse. So there's no problems. That's why he wants Ace Steel on Saturday. I would not doubt if Ace Steel is there every Saturday for the Collision tapings or live events. I would not doubt it. The list of demands have been met, and that's what they mean when they say they rectify the situation. So the announcement last night that the first ever Collision will be in Chicago, it's because they landed Brooks finally officially. Until maybe this Friday, Saturday, Sunday, when Brooks makes a call to TK and says, I have new demands or I'm not showing up. And then we'll just repeat this fucking vicious cycle. You know, Brooks attacks people like Brian Alvarez and people that are literally hearing what they're hearing. And there's no love lost between I and Brian. I don't care about Brian Alvarez. Take him or leave him. I'll leave him 99.99% of the time like a Clorox wipe. I don't care about Brian Alvarez. But this dude was saying there is a big chance that he does not show up. And I'm hearing certain rumblings as to why. And Brooks goes and fucking throws jabs at this dude. That's what you're pissed off at? Probably because there's a lot of truth behind it. So now you think that one door is finally closed last night, right? All the drama is done with. Chicago has been announced. We hear that Brooks has been secured for the first ever Collision. What are you going to do? Are you going to throw a parade? Honestly, you're going to throw a bar mitzvah? Is this going to be a block party? What are you going to do? Because all this does for BC that I'm seeing is it's going to open up a whole nother level, a whole nother layer, a whole nother chapter, even a book of problems for AEW and a whole new set of headaches for Tony Khan. Because now you just have that lethal dose of poison, that injection of toxicity. You just have that now going forward. It's the same guy carrying the same attitude with the same set of issues he's been carrying for years and years. Now he's just working with the side of the locker room that doesn't mind working with him. And it's only a matter of time before they get sick and tired of this dude. At first, he'll lay it on thick, because that's what he does. He's a master manipulator. He'll bring the whole roster out to dinner every fucking Saturday evening before the event for like 3 straight months. But eventually his true colors will shine brighter than the fucking rainbow that shines above. AEW after last night, that everybody thinks it's all hunky-dory and the skies are shitting out unicorns. There's a great rainbow over AEW. No, I see a black fucking cloud. Or hurricanes on the horizon, or a tornado. You ever see how they name the tornado? Yeah, this is tornado. This is Hurricane Punk. Tornado Punk. And it's ravaging its way through AEW. He's already taken out half the town. In this case, we'll call it half the roster. And now that hurricane, that tornado, is coming across the other side of the town. That's all this brand split is. People like that, eventually their true colors will shine brighter than the sun that comes up in the morning. You come across an asshole in the morning, you just came across an asshole. You come across an asshole throughout the day, you are probably the asshole. Right? If you keep coming across a problem, you keep saying that everybody you come across with is an idiot. Everybody you come across with, a problem arises. Maybe you are the problem. You know, if you are a big CM Punk fan, congratulations, you get to see CM Punk on the first Collision and going forward. I hope you understand that this is not going to bring the locker room together. I hope you are not thinking that everyone else should just put on a smile and give Punk a hug and just do business, conduct business like adults. No, why should they have to? One dude challenged the entire locker room to a fight. That's what he said at that media scrum. If you don't like what I'm saying, you know my locker room is, do something about it. What? Who speaks like that? You take the EVPs, whether you like them or not, whether you think they're just as much at fault here or not, that's in the eye of the beholder. But to say that they couldn't even manage a target, to say that you are trying to run a business here, no, you're not. Tony Khan is, and you should be a support system. You're just a team player on the team with everyone else. To say that you're trying to run a business is putting yourself above the whole roster. Why speak like he did at the Brawl Out media scrum? In front of his boss, dropping F-bombs, saying he's miserable there, he's angry, he's injured, he's not happy. And right in front of your boss. And a few months go by. And at first, we were all, even CM Punk fans, tried and true, diehard CM Punk fans were like, damn, I hear you guys, man. I'm done with this dude. I was a fan. I will always be a fan in some sort of way, but like, I'm done. This is laughable, or it would be laughable if it wasn't so damn tragic. Like how many bridges this guy burns and how easy it is to just piss people off when you could just get along, man. You ain't got to be best friends with everybody, but just, why does everybody call you a douche? Or at least most people, right? He's got his people like Dax Harwood that will fucking kiss his ass from the time he wakes up to the time he goes to bed. But why does most wrestlers not have a good thing to say about you, you know? Even the CM Punk tried and true fans were like, I'm done. And then what happens after a few months is you start going, all right, that's enough time. Enough time has gone by. Let's bring back Punk. And we're like, why? What's it really going to do for AEW? He destroyed AEW for so many months. Instead of MJF winning the title and that being a headline, we talk about CM Punk's attitude and going into business for himself. Or instead of Wardlow's, just so many moments we're taking away because of this outside of the ring drama that is not a storyline. It's not a work. It's just drama from Brooks. And instead of talking about the roster and AEW in a positive way, for months we just have been talking about what a circus this company is. To the point where they're in the 700 to 800,000s in viewership. And you're telling me this helped the company over the last several months? No, instead we go with the narrative, well, the viewership dropped so much because Punk hasn't been around. When Punk was around, they settled into the 950s, guys. 950 was their new normal, top tier niche. And when Punk was gone for the first several months, they stayed at 950. The product ended up failing. The product got bad enough to the point where they went into the 7 and 800s. It's not because Punk wasn't there. Punk can come back in about, I'll give you 2 months tops. 2 months. You'll see the ratings right back. 8 to 9 tops. Because there's bigger problems at play. Not only did Punk not move the needle like they thought they were after paying him all that they paid him, but on top of that, he helped, whether consciously or subconsciously, he helped sabotage the locker room. He hurt that company so badly that to this day, it's still trying to pick up the pieces. That locker room is still trying to come together, and now we're about to split it up because here comes that black cloud. Here comes CM Punk, business for himself. Mr. Ego, here he comes. This is what he does, man. How many times does BC have to make these type of... How many times does BC have to make these type of conclusions before they actually come to fruition? How many times do these words have to be spoken? I've been seeing this for years from this dude. Thankfully, most of you guys have by now as well. But there's still a lot of people that just don't understand that this one person is just really bad for pro wrestling. He doesn't love it anymore. It makes him miserable. He's told you that in his own words time after time. Leaving WWE, he was miserable. Leaving AEW, this first time, he was miserable. He's not happy. He's older. He's getting hurt all the time. He's so brittle. His body can't even take these matches. Can't even jump into the first row without breaking something. And now he's even older coming back. He never was a gym guy, so he doesn't really get as strong as he could be. And he's average as a pro wrestler. He's very average. Skill-wise, just even today he's just bad. I mean, you look at the Hangman, look at him trying to do that buckshot lariat, not once, twice. Man, you actually felt bad for him. And that's another thing, too, you know, like not just ravaging the locker room, but just making them look like idiots, you know, saying the EVPs couldn't manage a target. Talking all that shit about someone who's well-liked in that locker room, like Hangman Adam Page. And Hangman Page took the high road. Everything that Punk said about him. Paige never really responded. Paige took the high road, man. And Paige looked like an idiot. Punk embarrassed him with what he was saying about him. And then you call out Mox, saying he's got all these dumb ideas, talking about Rocky and wanting to do this. Man, when Mox was putting the company on his back, why trash Mox like that? Chris Jericho was just an idiot. I forgot what he called him. Calling out Jericho, knowing that Jericho, I know there's no love lost there, there's a beef there, but Jericho became a locker room leader, whether you like him or not, whether you like that decision or not. He said, listen, no matter what side you're on, the Punk side, the EVPs, the Elite, I am respected by most everybody, so I'm going to step up and be the leader here. And Jericho gets called out by Punk. And TK, he literally threw the company under the bus and called it a sloppy shop. Said that Tony Khan wanted me to work injured. Even though it was going to be a quick squash, I still had to go there, and even if I just laid, I mean, you want me to get in that ring, in the bell ring, when I'm not cleared. And Punk said, I would never do that. I'll never do that again. I mean, he knew that was, maybe that's the start of when he wasn't getting his way, and the demands weren't being met. Maybe Tony Khan was actually trying to put his foot down. And then Punk took it to a whole nother level and trashed the whole organization, basically calling that a sloppy shop. And then Mox came out and accidentally had to tell everybody that he wasn't even working on a contract at that point. So Tony Khan was going to have a championship match on a pay-per-view with, was that a pay-per-view or was that Dynamite? Well, it was Mox versus Punk. Maybe it was a Dynamite. And Mox was not under contract wrestling this big title match, and Punk was not cleared wrestling this big title match. That's as sloppy of a shop as you can come across, and it's because Punk opened up that Pandora's box. My point in all this is a marriage that should have ended in divorce. It's sad to say, it sucks when marriage ends in divorce. It does. But this is a marriage that needed to end. Tony Khan cannot have somebody like Phillip Brooks in his company. He can't. The company is too young, and you're really trying to build this bondmanship with your talent. Bondsmanship, I should say. Thank you. You're really trying to build something really special. You can't have an outsider literally come in who's so egotistical, who loves the drama. Misery loves company. And they just implode your roster, and then you accommodate them. You give them everything they want. You meet their list of demands, and you bring them right back. And you revolve a big part of the whole company, a whole show around this one person. You can't do that. Tony Khan botched. And now he's back. And there's people that are going to throw parades and say, I can't wait. This is what AEW needed. All right, wait a few months. Come on back to the channel. And you don't got to say, BC, you were right, man. I'm so sorry to doubt you. You don't have to say that. All I ask is that you just don't doubt me in the future with topics like this especially, because I've done my due diligence. I know this dude isn't going to magically just come back as a changed man. We already played that game the first time when he came back to AEW. BC even bought into the fake smile. BC was making podcasts telling you guys, dude, I'm on board. I'm not a fan per se, but I'm on board, and I hope the best. It looks like he's rejuvenated. Let's go. Didn't take long for Punk, the old Punk, to shine back through. So we'll play the game again. He'll come back with his smile and act like, man, I was the victim in all this. You know, the big thing in all of this is that if he moved the needle drastically, like the ratings were stuck at 1.2 every week, the pay-per-view buys were substantially more than without Punk, okay, maybe we could start talking, right? The needle was it was barely moved, man. Barely moved. All of this is not worth putting the entire company on the line for. Guys, the announcement was finally made. Chicago is going to be the site of the first ever Collision, and that confirms CM Punk for the show. So for those of you that wanted this, congrats to you. You got it, man. I'm happy on one hand because this part of the drama is fucking done. We can finally say that is over. Unfortunately, now the new BS occurs, right? And now it's just a matter of time. I just want this done with. Just bring him back, do what he's going to do, let the buzz wear off, and then everybody can see exactly what CM Punk brings to the table. And something tells me you're all going to be starving for more, because the food that's brought to the table is not going to be enough to accommodate your appetite. That's the Brooks situation. If it seems I'm harsh on this shit, guys, I'm just dropping fucking truth. It's not shade to anybody. I want AEW to succeed. I think it's better off succeeding without CM Punk. That's based on my observation, my research, going back into the history books, doing my due diligence, taking logic and common sense and mixing it with the reality of the situation. We'll see, man. We'll absolutely see. Guys, kept you here long enough. I could jump into a few other stories, but if there's a second podcast, that is when we'll do that, because one of these could last a little bit. Something we got to get off our chest. We got to talk about. We'll wait for the second podcast. Hopefully I can deliver that today, man. Either way, if not, there will be, of course, Friday's podcast. I'll get that out to you guys before SmackDown. And, of course, then the SmackDown review, which is the go-home show to Night of Champions. And, of course, we're live Saturday afternoon for Night of Champions. So, I mean, there's just a lot of content, a lot of podcasts coming this week, man. And it's Thursday. It's toward the end of the week. And you still got a ton, man. And again, another one possibly even this evening. So just stay subbed and notified. Much love and respect to all you guys, man. You guys are the absolute best. And because of that, there'll be more amplification later. For now, until next time, and there will be a next time, top guys, we're out. We the ones, the rest in this community, far distant twos. BC, saying check you. Peace.